Hi, thank you for joining me today for today's process video, and this is my first creative team design for Hey Little Magpie for July 2024, and I'm using the brand new Jen Hadfield Groovy Darlin. So I've decided to be brave and use some pattern paper as my background. I don't do that very often, but Jackie and I were chatting about it the other day and she did, so I thought I'd challenge myself too. But I'm not just using a plain piece. You can see I've torn the bottom off and I've turned that strip over. I'm going to add that to the bottom of the page, and I'm just using another patterned paper as my guide to keep this 12 inches by 12 inches, curling up the edges, and then I shall stick that block onto that pattern paper in the background and then cut off the excess from the back, you'll see shortly. So these are 3 photos of Amelia. One's printed 4x6 and the other 2 3x4. She was ready for a party back on the 29th of February 2020, so just before we went into lockdown. And she had got all dolled up. I'd done her makeup for her. She looked really cute. It was a 13th birthday party, so they were just starting to experiment with their looks and things. So it was really nice to have captured these moments, particularly as we've gone into lockdown after that. So I'm just matting the photo onto some white cardstock now, just to give it that border to make it stand out from all the patterns that are going behind it. So just trimming that down with a very small border and then adding the other photo. Now I decided in the end just to use the 2 photos. It was getting a bit too busy with the 3 on the page for the way that I wanted the design to be. So I'll just stick with these 2. And I've actually turned the design on the side. The branding strip was with these flowers going out to the left, I think, but I decided that I wanted to have them spouting up from the bottom upwards. So all the bits on the right hand side of the screen are from the papery pack, and I pulled that out. Gosh, there is so much to go through. I haven't even gone through half of it yet, but I spotted this notebook edge piece and I thought that would work nicely behind the photo. And now I'm just trying little bits and pieces to layer. I want to have a diagonal line going from the biggest photo on the right hand side down to the bottom left hand corner. So I'm just having a play. Now there are a lot of washi pieces in this pack, which is brilliant because they're very, very thin and they blend into the background, so you can see there's no white edges or anything on that piece. It just sticks flat. So I was really pleased with that. Lots of cassette tapes here, and it was a disco she was going to at a local working man's club, so I thought that would work nicely. And then this little, it's almost like a paint strip or a Instagram frame, and it says just peachy at the bottom. So I thought that would work nicely. Love that butterfly. Again, that's another washi piece, and that ticket that says beautiful is a washi piece as well. So I think those are going to go on as well. So just added a little bit of ATG behind that cassette tape and got that stuck down. And then I'm thinking about adding this ticket up here, but when I put it down, you can't really read the word beautifully so very well in real life. So I am going to switch that out and move that to the right hand side of that large photo. So just peeling the backing off this butterfly and getting that stuck down, and it's just going to tuck behind that photo. But in the end I do actually bring one of the wings over the cassette tape. You'll see I move everything around and have to move that across a bit. So just adding this ticket to the bottom right, and this is where I move the photos a little bit and then consequently decide that I do need to move this cassette tape. So I'm just being very careful pulling that up because the papery pieces are very, very thin, but it worked beautifully. So just pulling that wing up to overlap the cassette tape so it looks like it was all one piece, and then I can get the photos glued down before I continue. So there's the first one, and then this one I'm just going to offset with the corner pointing into Amelia on the big one. So just bringing everything back in and then getting that stuck down as well. And I'm just using little bits of tape so that they have some movement on the page. They sort of lift up a little bit on the edges. So now going through one of the ephemera packs. There are 2 ephemera packs in this collection, and I've decided to treat myself to both of them. I don't know why, because gosh, there's so many pieces. It'll be interesting to see what I do with them. And then I pulled out this Max alphabet set from Ellie's studio. We do still have these in the shop. It's a fabulous alphabet set and it actually works really nicely with the Hey Little Magpie dies that we brought in recently. So I'm just going to spell out Hallie's 13th because that's where they were going, or Amelia was going. And I do the 13th as one block, but then Hallie's, because I need to use two L's, I just stamp each letter from the S at the end going forward. So I decided to move this glitter ball down to that bottom left corner. As I say, I want that nice diagonal line flowing down, so that worked beautifully underneath the word Hallie's. And I just cut off the bottom, and I'm using that as a little tab above the large photo. I pulled out this little foiled ticket that says sunny days ahead, and I thought that worked nicely next to the photo of Amelia, not least because it was a particularly sunny year when we were all in lockdown, wasn't it? So little did we know when this photo was taken. So I've added a tab at the top cut from craft cardstock using my EK Success tab punch. That's going to hold my date, as I usually do. And then at the bottom here, I'm just adding one of the flare badges that was actually in the Christmas advent box. It says Just Gorgeous, and I'm going to add that with a tangle of twine underneath it. We do lots of fabric flares with words on at Hey Little Magpie, if you like that sort of thing. Now these little black and white squares, you can see they're inside the film strip die cuts, but I think they're perfect as little pieces to tuck in around your photo. They almost look like little labels, don't they? So I've cut this in half. I've added half to the top and then half to the left hand side where that notebook paper is there. And it just brings that black around the page a little bit more. Then I found this While You Were Out ticket, and I thought that would work really nicely just as another layer up there. It was too big to tuck behind, so I kept the bit that says messages at the bottom, just cut that off, and I'm just gluing that in place at the top there. So now onto the sticker book from this collection, and I find this little word that says wonderful, and that's going to go at the bottom of the page there. And then a couple of the circles, so one with a white heart on the left hand side and then a floral piece on the right hand side here. So I'm just going to add my date using my roller date stamp and archive a link on a scrap of white card, and I just cut that out and stick it to that craft tab that I've added to the top of the page. Just using my Nouveau for ease there. And then I decided I want to come in with some of my older stash. I'm trying really hard to mix older stash with newer stash. It's a great way of giving it a new lease of life. So first of all, I pulled out these puffy button stickers that came from an old Paige Taylor Evans collection. And now I'm coming in with some Jen Hadfield Stardust stickers. I find this little butterfly that works perfectly with this collection. So that's just going to be popped at the bottom there. And I will add a foam pad behind his wing just to make that stand up. And then I saw this little holographic silver scalloped piece. It's just a half piece that I had left over. So I just tucked that in front of that notebook paper as well. So finally I'm going to come in with some gold glitter dots that I've got in my stash. You could use enamel dots or gems or Nouveau crystal drops. I'm just filling in some of the flowers just to bring a little bit of bling onto the page. Sequins would work really nicely here as well. So there they are dotted around. And finally, I'm just going to add some journaling around that floral piece. So I've just put all dressed up and ready there. Oh yes, just one last thing. I went back into the sticker book and I added some little blingy bits to the top right hand side of that photo. That pink just looked very, very bare. So I've added a couple of stars and then a couple of sparkly bits. And that really does finish it off. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do check out the other videos on our channel. There are lots of creatives joining in and adding their videos to Hey Little Magpie, and they're great to watch. It'll give you some great inspiration. Thanks again. Bye.